Hello, this is Dread, and in today's video topic, we're going to be taking a break from the Runemaster gameplay today because I wanted to show you the build that I actually season started my solo account found account this patch. So I actually played this build a few days before the Runemaster patch because I was bored and I had nothing else to do. So we season started a Lich, and then of course put it down when Runemaster came out. So this is what I came up with. It is a channeled Wandering Spirits Lich. Now, this build ends up being very strong due to a lot of different things, a lot of moving parts, but mainly it's all because of Song of the Last Chantry. So Song of the Last Chantry is a node inside Wandering Spirits that allows you to channel Wandering Spirits instead of having it go on cooldown. And it also increases your reveal rate significantly so, and it also, of course, does a lot of damage, as you can tell on the screen. Now, we've been playing Necrotic DoT Lich for ages. We've just been playing DoT Lich for ages, to be honest. Like, we had Poison Wandering Spirits back in the day. That got nerfed, of course. And then, of course, we were playing Necrotic DoT Lich, which was okay. Wasn't the best, but it was okay. And then we were trying to figure out how to actually deal single target damage with Necrotic DoT Lich, and it turns out you can just use Channeled Wandering Spirits instead. Uh, that is because every single one of those little souls you see, right, they can overlap. And if you take a very specific set of points, i.e., the Konami code this time around, you can actually deal a very large amount of single target damage with Wandering Spirits. Who would have thought, right? I actually played Channeled Wandering Spirits before recently on a Necromancer, and it ended up being okay. And I was like, when I play this on a Lich one day, this is probably going to be really strong. And of course, I was right. So of course we're channeling Wandering Spirits. It doesn't even feel that bad as a channeling skill because since the fact that your spirits, right, they stay up after you stop channeling, so they keep doing damage even if you're not, actually channeling, which is absolutely wonderful. You can create fields of ghosts which enemies walk into and die. So that's a plus as well. You can kind of like pre-fire against packs. There's a lot of different things you can do with this. Whenever you're mapping, you just kind of like hold the channel button for a few seconds and then walk through it. And you can kind of face tank stuff too, to be honest. That is because, of course, Lich is very strong. It has a lot of DR thanks to Death Seal and stuff, but also we get to run stuff like armor while channeling. We get to run all the armor scaling that Lich provides, like armor scaling per int and all that. All that combined makes it so that whenever you're channeling Wandering Spirits, nothing's really hitting you that hard. And if it does, it's like an anomaly, right? And that's like the best thing about this is the fact that even if we're channeling, we don't even feel like as though we're taking that much damage. And that's because we get to run armor, we get to run block as well, because we get to run a one-hander and block. Unlike the crit lich builds, we get to actually run a shield without high investment, which is cool. And it feels buttery smooth. I'm very happy with the build so far. Uh, I essentially used it to blast through maps. I got it to 300 corruption very fast. It was actually the fastest build I've ever gotten to 300 corruption, I think. And that's just mainly a combination of how much damage Necrotic Wandering Spirits does. And it's also a combination of just, Lich in general and just how strong Lich is currently. As you can see in the footage here, though, they did update the art for Lich in general. So Lich form actually looks really good now, and the animation for channeling looks absolute poggers. I love it so much. I love the animation where she's just like holding the stabs like the scythes like that. It's great. Um, Everything about Lich looks amazing now. Now all they got to do is just do her a little bit of a tune up in the end game, and I think we're good to go. As long as like not every Lich build is running like Death Seal Lich form, I think I'd be happy. So maybe one day they'll fix that. But overall, like I said, Necrotic DoT Lich, really fun build, really amazing build, got me through everything. So we're gonna go in game and talk about it some more here. All right, here we are in game with the character. So of course the concept of the build is to simply just get into Lich form, get your Death Seal up, and then go and channeled Wandering Spirits on things. For some reason my channeled Wandering Spirits here is very bugged. I don't know what's going on here, but as you can tell, you can kind of guess how the gameplay is. Uh, the we don't even feel that bad for channeling because we just get so much free armor from everything involved. Like we get up to 55% armor while channeling Death Seal. That is a lot of armor, and it essentially allows us to just not die, which is great. I love it. It's absolutely amazing. Just being able to actually run a channeling skill and not instantly fall over, that helps a lot, right? So let's talk about the build, shall we? Let's talk about the skills. So We take 3 points travel into Souls of Rage, that more damage is great. 1 point travel into Medium, 1 point travel into Sheltering Spirits, 1 point travel into Infusing Souls, then 1 point into Song of the Last Chantry. This makes it so that Wandering Spirits is channeled and increases the reveal rate significantly so that we get our spirits much faster while channeling, so we don't spend long channeling. Then 2 points travel into Eternal Hunt, then 2 points into Daunting Presence. The increased size of the soul makes them deal damage in a larger area, meaning that they have much better overlaps. So having as much size as possible means as much overlaps as possible, which means as much single target as possible, which is great, right? Then 1 point travel to Poison Minds, 1 point to Spectral Putrescence. This is great because it makes the Wandering Spirits actually hit things, which we can apply Damned with, we can apply Mark for Death with. So both of those combined mean that we can get our buffs later on in endgame. Now, of course, as well, this also makes Wandering Spirits into a poison and necrotic spell. This is great as it allows us to get plus levels to poison skills, which is great because of the rings that give you +1 to poison skills. As you can tell, this tree is very bare bones, and that is because Wandering Spirit scales off plus levels significantly so. Then 2 points travel into Lingering Souls, 3 points into Familiar Souls. You want the hungering souls to be grouped up in a very small portion of your screen so that they all overlap and deal significant amounts of damage. For clear, this doesn't even feel that bad because they start moving around and killing stuff. If you're like killing a maroon ogre or something, just make sure you're just standing on top of them and you'll just watch them just like instantly die, which is absolutely wonderful. Spirit duration doesn't matter too much. We also get more damage here with against cursed enemies and damned enemies. My computer. There you go. And then, of course, we get also more damage against cursed enemies as well, which is great. This is a very efficient node in the tree and allows us to do a lot of damage. And most of our setup is made to make sure that we have as much high of an uptime of this buff as possible. Then, of course, eventually, in the end, if you manage to get like 20 billion points into skill, you put points into Tethered Existence, making the spirits not move at all, which is great because when they're sitting on top of the target, when you reveal them, they're in pretty good positions, which is great. The next skill we're going to be talking about is, of course, Hungering Souls. Essentially, Hungering Souls, all we care about is the 40% more damage over time against Possessed. Keeping up this buff is part of your rotation. Thanks to the fact that we can cast Hungering Souls from Death Seal, it means it automatically casts it for us. So all we have to do is before we channel, if we want to do a bunch of damage, we cast Hungering Souls, and then, of course, channel Wandering Spirits, and we do plenty of damage. We also grab the note here, Reaper's Gaze, so that we get the 15% coal, which is amazing on bosses. Wonderful. And of course, for Death Seal here, we mainly take Devouring Release here. This gives us a lot of extra souls, which allows us to keep the uptime on our Marked for Death, our of course, our what is it called? Damned. Yeah, our damned stacks, and also allows us to keep up this for more damage, which is great. Another node in Death Seal, of course, is this node. This node gives us a lot of free armor, which is wonderful, by the way. We also, of course, grab the increased damage, the haste, the usual stuff with Death Seal. It's pretty simple, Death Seal. It's usually the same it is. Although we could run Necrosis eventually one day when they do decide to fix it to get a bunch of free necrotic tread chance. Maybe one day, we'll see, we will see. Yeah, it's Death Seal. Then for Reaper form, we mainly take this node here, Haunting, to get that Mark for Death chance. Having Mark for Death not only reduces the enemy's resistances by 25%, it also makes all of our damage, our necrotic damage from Wandering Spirits, deal more damage, which is great. And of course, we take normal nodes like the armor too to make us scale even more with armor. We grab this for the minus health drain, grab the swiftness so we're faster. It's your stereotypical Reaper form tree. It's not very complicated. And of course, we got Transplant here. That's your stereotypical transplant tree as well. Mainly, you want the haste and frenzy for free, and of course, the kill threshold here. All of that combined is really good, and I really like that. Makes mapping feel really good, right? Great. And that's pretty much it for the skills. Now let's talk about the passives. So some of the more important passives, we mainly care about Eye of Damnation for the dam chance. This makes it so that, of course, we deal the more damage. So it's very important for us to make sure that we have this. And of course, for Lich here, uh, some very key notables. We have nodes like this to give us a lot of increased damage. We have nodes like this to give us even more spell damage leech, because that does work on our damage over time, because it's damage over time leech, which is great. We also have nodes like this for the necrotic penetration. We're applying a damage over time skill. We want as much penetration as humanly possible. Then, of course, we get points in necrotic energy for that flat necrotic. We want as much flat necrotic as humanly possible wherever we can get it. So this is very important. Stuff like this node here for movement speed, of course, right? And this node specifically is very good as it double dips, because we're not only are we playing a spell, we're also playing a damage over time spell. So this double dips for our damage and gives us a lot of free increased damage early on, which makes our wandering spirits like do a lot of damage, even if we don't have any gear on, which is absolutely wonderful, because it makes this build a really good candidate for starting a season whenever those come around, as you know, you can do a lot of stuff with no gear. Now, let's talk about gearing, actually. We're at it. So, the helmet here, a lot of health. The cooldown recovery speed's great, because we get as much cooldown as possible to spam our skills. Also, as well, whenever we get knocked out of Reaper form, if we grab cooldown recovery speed, it makes our uptime on a Reaper form much better. So you don't have that awkward time where you're in a boss fight waiting for your Reaper form to come up. Amulet here, just damage over time. I don't know if the area actually applies to the area of the each individual wandering spirit. I have no idea about that. And of course, Marina's Lost Soul. This is your best in slot weapon. It does reduce our life, but is heavily worth it, as the fact that, you know, of course, we get all that spell damage over time, the necrotic spell damage. Like, we very much so want this. Our chest here, just a lot of increased damage. Eventually, you want plus levels to Wandering Spirits, like a +4 eventually, but this will do for now. Just getting that increased damage. Ever since the Vitality nerf, it makes it so that our prefixes are very bad for the most part. So just getting as much increased damage as possible is the most important part. And of course, for a shield, just the stereotypical shield, it's just there to, you know, make some damage less damaging when we're standing still, which is great. Our ring here, that's a pretty good ring. I'm pretty happy with this ring. Belt here, it's like good for the most part. I'm missing cleanse though. The ring here, this is a pretty good ring. It's got the best stuff for the most part. Atrophies, of course. Eventually, you'd want to get LP atrophies and get that damage over time on it, or get the hybrid health on it, whatever you want to get on it. And of course, the boots here, you want exalted movement speed boots, because you want to be zooming through monoliths. So getting a pair of these fast as possible is great. And of course, a relic like this, like giving us a lot of life, intelligence. There is also a relic that actually gives you necrotic damage over time, which is great. Now, for idols here, let's talk about it. I'm currently running damage while transform idols and resistance idols. You don't have to run that many idols. You could run transplant cooldown idols, but I'll be honest, you'd be better off just stacking resistance on your idols, and then of course, using really degenerate pieces of gear in all of your other slots, as that would assist you the most, right? So doing that would probably be in your best interest. I'm running a lot of HP as well. That helps too. Getting HP is great, right? Obviously. And that's pretty much it for the idols. Now, let's talk about the blessings. So, for the blessings here, you can get either spell damage, leeches life, or health. It's really what you feel like. Probably health, to be honest. I don't know. I don't think there's any other blessing you'd want from blessing Black Sun. Ending the storm, you just want that juicy lightning res, of course. Then Reign of Dragons, nice. You want the crit avoid as always. And of course, for Age of Winter, armor, of course, armor scaling. And then for Spirits of Fire, it's a little different this time, because we're getting armor while channeling, so that we can essentially, you know, become an absolute tank when we're channeling, as you can tell. I really like the new animation though for Lich here. It's really good. I really like it. They did a really good job on it. Lich actually feels really good to play when you're moving through monoliths. You really do feel like that undeath being, right? Like, it's like killing things. It's great. Yeah. With all that being said, I think that's going to be it for the video. Bye, guys.